So Donald Frazier, one of our members, has a question, but he doesn't seem to have audio. It's about Indonesia, and maybe it repeats a little bit of what you said, but I'll read it, and if you could answer it, Krithika.
Mhm.
So he says he's been in Indonesia the past few years. I've seen several new good-sized compounds comprising madrasas, dormitories, and always a mosque with that most non-Javanese feature, a minaret. More are under construction. Extrajudicial violence against artists and gays has entered uh, in the university city. People are afraid to challenge it. Can pro-secular organizations such as the NU and the Wahid Foundation resist it, and how? When I interviewed the Sultan, he changed the subject several times.
Um, Thanks for that question, Don. I'm not surprised the Sultan evaded your question, given Javanese interview habits, especially if you asked him something that would require a direct answer like that. In short, it's a really good question. For those of you who don't know, NU and the Wahid Foundations are kind of representatives of this traditionalist, pluralist archipelago Islam. And they're kind of this alternative anti-Wahhabi establishment. Don, to answer your question, I'm not super hopeful in NU's capacity to do any counter messaging. They've proven very kind of nebulous in their messaging and figuring out what they stand for. What I am more confident in is that Indonesia is good at metabolizing things from the outside. So it has really metabolized, I think, a lot of the Salafi and Wahhabi inroads and Indonesianized them. So I think a good example of that is that Lipia, the Saudi university, has been forced to take up the Indonesian curriculum in addition to its Arabic stuff. And they have hired women teachers and now have a football team and stuff like that. And also, I think a good example is how the Salafi communities in Jogja and in Java don't get that much Gulf funding anymore, if at all. They really get funding more from their communities in Indonesia. So Salafism is no longer such an international phenomenon in Indonesia. It's becoming more of a rooted, like Indonesianized thing. And I think that what we find is that within Indonesia, like extremist movements don't live for too long until they're reined in a little bit, just by the nature of religious life in the archipelago, which is a little bit more like slightly bit more relaxed and less dogmatic. So I'm not hopeful in the Indonesian institutions, but I am hopeful, and I think I've been proven correct by a lot of the Indonesian people's response to this campaign.